Right, so Selby and Ainsty, we've got to talk about this one as well. The one by-election where Starmer's Labour did the job and came out on top. So we have to give the party props for binning off the Tories there. 1 out of 3 is, well, better than nothing, I suppose. This was the kind of result poll watchers and the Labour faithful had been expecting, as a 23.7% swing to Labour from the Tories saw them overcome that 20,000 vote Tory majority. Turnout was down again, 27% down. We expect that for by-election. Still, that's low even by by-election standards. So apathy playing its part, and I'll come back to that presently. But nonetheless, Labour increased its vote by almost 3,000 votes. Yep, that bigger swing from that small increase. But that's the maths for you. And you know why parties love percentages so much. They can sound so much better. Oddly enough, in 2017, Labour got almost 3,000 more votes than they did last night, but that would imply Corbyn was appealing to people, and we can't have such notions as that getting made public, can we? Keep that to ourselves. Still, the Tory vote collapsed yesterday, a 26% drop in their vote share to go with their 30% drop in vote share in Somerton and Frome. Both of these by-elections have seen substantial beatings for the Tories. It was once more a two-horse race, and this is what you expect in elections built around tactical voting, as much of the drive across all 3 by-elections held last night has been about. Notably, 2 other parties did make gains, though, as once again, 3rd place in this by-election went to the Greens, just as it did in Uxbridge, just as it did in Somerton and Frome. They gained in all 3 by-elections, the only party to gain in all 3, so that's notable. People keep getting told the Greens only benefit at local election level, don't they? They did great in the recent local elections after all, it's fair to say. But that's where they'll stay, people comment. However, all 3 of these by-elections held today, parliamentary by-elections, have implied otherwise. They are gaining even at this level as well. Now, the Greens only gained 1.9% in vote share, but they only stood in Selby and Ainsty for the first time in 2019 and have gone from coming last then to coming 3rd now. The Yorkshire Party also gained, getting 0.8% vote share rise as well, coming 4th, with Richard Tice's private company Reform UK pushing the Lib Dems into 6th. Compared to the other 2 by-elections today, everything Labour seemed to have been punished over there, they got away with in Yorkshire. The imposed Starmerite candidate, Keir Mather, is a 25-year-old former lackey to Wes Streeting, whose speaking voice I've now discovered makes him sound like David Beckham on helium, currently working at the CBI, as he has been until he was elected today, or elected last night. So he'll do exactly as he's told and vote accordingly. And unfortunately for Selby and Ainsty, you might have just elected another Tory by mistake. The odiousness of Keir Starmer and his policy choices, or choice to strip them away and bin them, hasn't harmed him here either, though, again, that small gain by the Greens, just as we saw elsewhere, is likely made up of disenfranchised Labour voters and members who want to change and cannot bring themselves to support Labour while Starmer is in charge, because change is not what he is offering. It cost him in Uxbridge. It didn't cost him in here, though. You have to say, though, that this is all down likely to tactical voting. Labour were the 2nd place party going into this, and getting the Tories out was very important to a lot of people, more important than any overall dislike of Labour at this time. It's a staunch Tory seat. It's gone red. How much that is down, as I say, to the tactical voting and not the polling Labour enjoys, is being borne out by that not being reflected in the other by-elections. Labour got absolutely destroyed in Somerset and failed to take Uxbridge, despite them having had to put up with Boris Johnson. And that was the by-election Labour were actually favourites to take, after all. What is notable from these results from last night is just how much the Tory vote was cut. In 2019, the Tories won just shy of 34,000 votes here in Yorkshire. Last night, that dropped to 12,295, literally cut by almost 2/3. All these missing Tory voters, they didn't go to Labour. Labour only gained some 3,000 votes after all. So even with Starmer being a massive red Tory himself, which may well have attracted some, only a small number of Tory voters, proportionally speaking, would ever consider voting Labour here, obviously. A lot of Tory voters across the country will be disgusted by their own party right now, and a large number of them here clearly stayed at home. That's food for thought for the Tory party itself right now, and as to why that is and what they can do to change it. And you have to imagine Rishi Sunak might well be feeling very uncomfortable, despite holding Uxbridge, that the knives are being sharpened and the letters of no confidence will soon be going in. The common denominator across all 3 by-elections has been a swing against the Tories, but not necessarily for Labour at all. Both parties need to be asking major questions of their leadership after last night. I think only the Tories are likely to actually do so. Labour figures are too bloody scared. But if they don't buck up and face facts that Starmer is a drag on their success, not a contributor to it, it could cost them the majority they're chasing come the general election. And the polls after these results, completely different in all three corners of the country as these results have been, that all took place on the same day, showed the polls really aren't worth the paper they're printed on right now when they are not being obviously replicated nationwide. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the video useful. Please do share and subscribe if you did. Meanwhile, here's a video recommendation for you where Keir Mather may just be the first of many Streeting drones being manufactured in a bunker somewhere by Labour HQ. The plan to roll more of them out is frankly a horrible thought, and I'll catch you hopefully on the next vid. Cheers, folks.